Hi, this is Jason Maysog, coming at you from USD 327 Ellsworth, Canopolis, Geneseo. From Canopolis Middle School Bulldogs, where we unleash the awesome. This is a short guide on the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA, and what we need to do in our school to be able to respect this law. Let's start with the history. It's a federal law that protects confidentiality of students' education records. It was implemented in 1974 and sponsored by Senator James Buckley of New York, and applies to all schools receiving federal funds through the Department of Education, so basically any public school, including ours. And it's administered by the Family Policy Compliance Office, FPCO. The main goal of FERPA is to protect the integrity of a student's academic record and protect students' privacy. The rights that are protected from students and the parents' standpoints is that they're able to inspect and receive a copy of student records, and the right to deny others access, specifically those outside the school system, with some exceptions. The right to opt out of military recruitment, the right to opt out of the disclosure of a student's directory information, and a complaint process handled by the FCPO of the United States Department of Education. And if parents or eligible students believe that their rights under FERPA have been violated, they may file a formal complaint with the department. Some shortcomings of FERPA is that it does not give individuals the right to sue the school. Only the U.S. Department of Education can sanction schools that have violated FERPA. It puts the burden on students and parents to respond to opt-out opportunities, such as disclosure of directory information. It does not dictate requirements for safeguarding educational records. It does not include steps institutions must take to safeguard education record. Homeschool students are not protected by FERPA. Some protections, what it does protect. It protects the education records of students that are held by schools or third-party vendors for the schools. So things such as student grades, immunization and health records, disciplinary records, student progress report, academic or physical testing results, grade point average, attendance records, and not all information are protected. Things such as private records the teachers make during the course of teaching, meant for the teacher's private use as a memory aid, law enforcement or campus security records created and maintained solely for law enforcement reasons, employment records, alumni records, grades on peer-graded papers before they're recorded, and directory information. Our responsibilities as a school and in the classroom. First of all, school districts must maintain the confidentiality of all personally identifiable information in education records related to their students. In the event of epidemic, disease outbreak, or campus shooting, though, for instance, a school could legally share students' education records with designated personnel and law enforcement officers as needed. The Department of Education's latest rules make it clear that a health and safety emergency trumps privacy. And here are some of the things that we need to think about when we're dealing with FERPA in the classroom. Immigration. Federal law dictates that the state and local educational agencies are required to provide all children equal access to public education at the primary and secondary levels. ICE would need a valid court order or subpoena in compliance with FERPA or immigration laws or regulations if they come to the school looking for information about certain students. And schools cannot inquire into the student's citizenship or immigration status. In short, we have no place to ask about the citizenship of students. We must provide education to all. As far as surveillance cameras goes, and we do use surveillance at KMS, surveillance use has doubled from 10 years ago, from 2015-2016 school year. Now more than 80% of schools and more than 94% of secondary schools use security cameras. We must be careful when using these though. We should have proper signage of surveillance use. Cameras can only be in public spaces such as hallways, stairways, and common areas, and not in private places such as bathrooms or locker rooms. Recordings maintained by the school becomes education records. Recordings by law enforcement is not considered educational records. We also need to be careful with digital data, especially at this day and age. Students generate enormous amounts of sensitive electronic data about themselves every day that are not all necessarily protected by law. Schools are an educational agency that should be responsible for the data of their students, and no one should have access to that data besides parents, students, and third-party service providers. We need to ensure that third-party vendors have appropriate safeguards in place. We need to ensure that vendors whom we partner with abide by COPPA. The district policy on FERPA is that we will be providing annual notice of parental rights under the PPRA and FERPA at the beginning of each school year, and at any other time that the school district policies in the area are substantially changed. And parents and our students over the age of 18 have the right to refuse information deemed by the school's directory as non-directory information if they file a written notification at the beginning of each school year. This was a quick rundown on FERPA and how it relates to us as teachers and school staff. The main thing is we need to make sure that we keep student privacy protected and we don't just put it out there for everyone to see. Some references that I used are here. Thank you for listening. I hope this helped you understand a little bit more about how FERPA and school work together.